Last time, on Rise of the Soul Queen, a line was drawn. Dark forces began to reveal themselves. Thomas stepped forward, claiming his place as a guardian. Heath arrived, shrouded in mist, naming Logan as the heir Seryn. And the arcane power surges as sides have been chosen. And it is revealed the Tua has gathered, and the awakening has begun. Episode 10, Guardians Rise. Long before the cities fell and the stars dimmed, there was this night. The Guardians gathered one by one beneath the great sky in the great hall. The air buzzed with knowing. This was the night the legends spoke of. The night the Tua would convene for the final time before the long sleep. Most had dismissed the prophecy as myth, a tale for the old, the forgotten, the fractured. Something that would never be done, but now, as the sky swirled in omens and the mountain itself held its breath, the truth could no longer be denied. They were going to do it. The Elfkin would sleep until the calling, until the awakening, until the world needed them again. They stood in silence as it all washed over them. What this truly meant. This could be the last time they would see one another. The last time they would share air, fire, memory. 6 warriors bonded through war and wisdom and friendship. They had trained together, bled together, built brotherhood, kinship, and sisterhood. A family. And for 2 of them, something even deeper. The Tua had gathered, and the Guardians had been called. He arrived first, as always. Air, sharp, precise. His steps made no sound on the stone. He held the scroll that summoned him in one hand, fingers pressed to its seal as if trying to decipher a second meaning beneath the ink. His eyes scanned the hall with measured calculation, absorbing everything, every detail, every silence, every breath. He never missed a thing, and tonight, he knew everything mattered. Then came the others, water and arcane, and then fire and soul, arriving together as they had been when the summons came. Water moved like mist, her presence serene but watchful. Arcane trailed sparks of violet from the folds of his cloak, eyes flickering with arcane recognition. Fire strode in fire-warmed boots, her crimson blade strapped across her back like a promise. And the Soul Guardian, he stood beside her, quiet, gold-lined eyes fixed on air with a nod of greeting that said more than words. They laughed as they saw one another, that awkward laughter people use when they're trying not to cry. Memories pressed at the edges of their reunion, memories, and the fear of forgetting. And then a rumble, a shift in the stone, and she entered. Earth. Tall, carved from granite and shadow, her skin wrapped with the markings of her element, deep umber lines that spiraled down her arms like roots. She smiled wide as they turned to greet her. "Always the last one," Fire teased, fire crackling just under her words. Earth rolled her shoulders and grinned. "That's 'cause the last one gets the best attention." They laughed, louder this time. But even in the warmth of that moment, they knew. The time had come. The laughter echoed against the high stone walls, carried briefly by the wind, then stopped. A sound rang out from the chamber beyond, low, resonant. Not quite a bell, not quite a chime, something older, deeper. A sound that seemed to vibrate in your bones, like it had always been there, just waiting. The Guardians stilled. That was the call. No more time. They turned toward the arched doorway, carved with symbols of their kind, older than even their memories, but before they could take the final steps inside, Soul raised his hand. The Soul's voice, warm and steady, held them in place. "Wait," he said. They paused, watching him. "It could be millennia before we meet again," he said, his voice low but certain. "And if we do, we may not even recognize each other. We may not even remember this night." His gaze swept across all of them. "But let us not forget." He extended his hand toward them, palm up, open, an offering. One by one they placed their hands over his, Water's fingers cool and gentle, Arcane's firm and trembling slightly, Fire's calloused and warm from the heat she carried, Air's strong with quiet control, and Earth's grounded them all with the weight of earth and memory. They stood there, a ring of 6. Their eyes moved from each other's face, from one to the next. What couldn't be spoken lingered between them, etched into every silent glance, every barely held breath. This was more than ritual. This was goodbye. What if they never woke? What if the Elfkin were never called again? What if this was the end? For a moment no one spoke, and then, quietly, Soul whispered, "Let them remember us." They stepped forward together, into the chamber, into the unknown, into legend. The memory faded like mist at sunrise, pulled gently from their minds, but the weight of it remained. David stood still. His gaze was fixed ahead on the teens, on the truth, on the Tua. They were here, all of them. The realization struck, not like a thunderbolt, but like a rising tide, steady, inevitable, ancient. He turned toward Thomas. A slow smile crept across his face as recognition bloomed in his chest. 1,000 lifetimes compressed into this one moment. Talia looked over at Lily. Their eyes met, something long last and long promised crossing between them. This was real. This was now. David's voice was barely a whisper. "It's us." He turned toward Keith, about to speak, in confusion. He looked around, and he froze. "Wait a minute, where?" A blur of movement cut through the night. Impact. David went down hard, tackled to the ground in a clean, practiced drop. Dust flared around them as his breath caught in his throat. The other guardian stepped back, not out of fear, but out of pure, practiced respect. Talia's arms folded as she chuckled under her breath. He always lets his guard down. David blinked, coughing once as he tried to get his bearings. On his knees now, he looked up, and he saw her. Boots planted in the earth, cargo pants and a tank top. Her arms carved with strength and spirit. Tribal markings wrapped around her forearm like a story written in ink. Long, dark hair spilled past her shoulders in wild, perfect chaos. Eyes like storm-tossed stone. A warrior. A queen. She smiled. "Hello, sunshine," she said, her voice low, laced with fire and mischief. David rose slowly, brushing the dirt from his pants. "You're late." She shrugged. Talia didn't miss a beat and added, "As always." The woman reached her hand down. David took it, accepting her assistant, rising to his feet. "Celia," she said, voice proud and unmistakable, "guardian of Earth." She grinned wide, eyes sparkling as she looked around the assembled group. "So," she added, scanning the teens, "where's my Seryn?" The kids froze. Confused glances ricocheted between them, an invisible question crackling in the air. All except one. Andrew. He didn't move, didn't flinch. He just stood, tall, centered, his hands at his sides. His throat bobbed once as he swallowed, steadying himself, but his eyes never left hers. Celia's smile softened for a moment, and she started walking toward him, measured, unshaken. Thomas chuckled to himself, peeling off from the group to find a low wall nearby. He dropped onto it with ease, folding his arms across his chest, thoroughly entertained. "Oh, this is going to be good," he muttered. Lily stepped closer, slipping into the space beside him. Her voice was a whisper. "What's happening?" Thomas leaned toward her, speaking just loud enough for her to hear. "I believe," he said, "we're about to witness a test of an Earth warrior." Celia's eyes locked on Andrew as if the rest of the world had fallen away. Without another word, she lunged. The space between them vanished in an instant. Her body moved like a blade, clean, decisive, and without hesitation. Andrew barely sidestepped the first strike, his reflexes faster than he understood. The kids gasped. Emily stepped forward, but David held her gently by the arm. "Let it happen," he said, voice calm but firm. "She's going to kill him," Emily cried. "Uncle David, make her stop." David's eyes didn't leave the fight. "He'll be all right. It's part of the Earth, right?" "But you said I'm the queen. I command you, make her stop." David looked at her, really looked, and then glanced at Talia. Talia chuckled under her breath. "She's got fire, that one." Andrew ducked under a sweeping kick and rolled to his feet, only for Celia to meet him with a knee to the chest that sent him staggering back. But he didn't fall. His stance widened, grounded. And then Celia moved again, this time faster, her movements a blur. They clashed in a flurry of strikes, locks, and feints. Andrew kept up, more than kept up. He flowed like water, but struck like stone. His body reacted with a precision he didn't consciously control. Then Celia stepped back, raised a hand. The air changed, thickened, and she slammed her palm into the ground with a cry. The earth responded. A burst of power erupted beneath Andrew's feet and launched him backward. He flew through the air, a shocked cry escaping as he crashed into the side of a crumbling building. Dust exploded. Rumble rained down. Silence. The teens screamed. Emily tore free from David's hand and ran forward, but Talia stepped in her path. "Wait," Talia said softly. "Watch." The rumbling started low, like a giant clearing its throat. From the wreckage, a figure emerged, dragging itself upright. It was Andrew. He stood, then he jumped. He landed hard in front of Celia, one knee down, fists planted to the earth. When he looked up, his eyes burned, deep brown like polished obsidian glowing from within. A growl slipped past his lips. Celia didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. She stepped forward, knelt in front of him, and whispered something ancient, a phrase none of the kids could understand. Then she stood and clapped him on the back with enough force to topple a bear. Andrew crumbled to the ground. The glowing vanished from his eyes. He blinked, dazed. What just happened? The other teens ran to him, voices overlapping in a mess of shock and awe. Celia turned back to the guardians, her grin wide. "He'll do." David stepped forward, his eyes locked on Celia as a knowing smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. She opened her arms wide and he walked straight into the hug, tight, real, years of unspoken loyalty folding into that single moment. Talia was next, slapping Celia's shoulder with a laugh before pulling her in. "Still dramatic, I see." "You'd miss me if I weren't," Celia shot back. Thomas and Lily drifted over, forming a half circle of reunion and recognition. Then Heath approached, firm and steady, a nod passing between he and Celia. "We've been waiting," he said, "but we couldn't come to you. They're everywhere." David's face showing concern. "Who?" Celia's face darkened. "The ones after the Tua. We know. The arcane have betrayed us." All eyes shifted to Thomas. He lowered his head, the confrontation at the garage now taking on deeper meaning. "I have a safe place," Keith said quietly. "My people will get us there. Everybody's probably hungry, tired. We'll get you food, get you rest." "But," Lily interjected, glancing at the teens, "we have to tell their parents something. They'll be worried." Keith shook his head. "No, their parents are safer if they know nothing. I've got teams watching them. If we do this right, they'll be fine." He motioned for everyone to start moving, but David raised a hand, calling them back. They turned. The Guardians, old friends coming together again after millennials apart. The teens stood just behind them, watching, uncertain, in awe. David looked at each one of them. "Seems we did find our way back to each other after all." He reached out his hand. One by one they placed theirs over his. Talia, Lily, Thomas, Celia, Keith. 6 hands, one purpose. David's voice rang clear, just as it had so long ago beneath the stars. "For the Tua, Guardians, rise!"